You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Just celebrating championships out here, Sam. That's what we do. That's what we're doing out here today.
That's what I hear and what I see.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
It's been a good day. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, welcome in.
How has your week really been?
Things have been pretty solid out here. You know, I got to be honest. I have to come clean. I was basically Randy Quaid from Major League 2 about the Denver Broncos all year. And it's a baseball podcast. We're not going to talk about football much, but, you know, it's one of the only podcasts you'll listen to where one of the hosts is based in Denver and is from Denver. My first love in life, it was like the Denver Broncos, then my parents, then my sister, kind of. And then, everything after that. But, graduated from college, got a job in sports talk radio. It was my first job out of school. And, when you work around the NFL, and that was, the Jay Cutler years, kind of fell out of love with the Broncos for a little while because, Jay Cutler. And so, and then Tim Tebow. But the last few seasons have been frustrating because, John Fox, terrible head coach. They hired Gary Kubiak. He's just the poor man's John Fox. So I was this year I was such a doubter, and I was Randy Quaid in Major League 2, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl, and that was a whole heck of a lot of fun. So yeah, I went to the parade today. You'll hear us talk with Benjamin Hill later. I'm not in on that conversation because I was fighting the million people who were in downtown Denver to try to get back. So great job by Sam for that. But pretty solid stuff out here.
Yeah, I should note that Ben said at the end of the interview, I miss you, Tyler. Stay strong. And I don't know what he meant by that because obviously you are staying strong in what is not a very difficult time for you right now.
Yeah, so. No, this is this is a rare. Before we got on, I was telling you this is the first championship for any of my teams since before I had a driver's license. So this is I'm feeling pretty good out here.
Yeah, and again, apologies to the people of Cleveland and other areas.
Yeah, I'm complaining about oh man, it was a long 15-year wait, and Cubs fans could have been born, lived to 107, and died and not seen a World Series.
Well, let's just pretend they're Blackhawks fans too.
There you go. That works. Yeah, that's true. They got a Super Bowl. They got 75 NBA titles.
Right. They're fine. People of Chicago.
The White Sox. Hey, so anyway, welcome in. It's episode number 45 of the Minor League Baseball podcast, the show before the show. My name is Tyler Mon. I am in Denver, Colorado. Sam Dykstra is in New York City at MILB HQ, and we are set to go for the first post-football episode of the show before the show for 2016, which is always exciting. There's always that rash of tweets right after the Super Bowl ends, hey, it's baseball season. And it's really hockey and basketball season for the next 2.5 weeks. But I did an interview with an Astros prospect yesterday who was getting ready to go to spring training on March 7th. He's one of the minor league guys. So he'll report to minor league camp March 7th. So prospects, you're looking at that first week in March, but a whole lot of 40-man and non-roster invitations that have been extended for guys who will be reporting in not even over a week. I mean, just barely over a week at this point.
Yeah, so we're getting in that countdown now, and it was really funny. Just Sunday night, all the tweets that were just of baseball diamonds that were filling up my feed.
So
I was
awesome.
Wait a second, the biggest football game of the year just happened. Why are we celebrating baseball? Because that's what we do. When we get a chance to celebrate baseball, we're going to grab hold of it and run with it.
I was also a big fan of the amount of major league teams that were live tweeting the Puppy Bowl on Sunday in order to kind of I think just backhandedly drive attention away from the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, the Puppy Bowl's on right now. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, but I mean, if we wanted to have a Puppy World Series, I wouldn't be against that.
No, me neither.
It would just be a best of 7, but it would always go 7 games.
Every single night. It would go,
yeah,
even if the World Series ended in 4, just make the Puppy Bowl or the Puppy World Series go 7.
Oh, of course.
100% down with that. Well, we're off and running. Let's get rolling for episode 45. Strike one. 3 strikes for the 45th edition of the show before the show. Sam came up with this question. I really like it. I'm going to pose it to Sam first. Here we go. Sam, if you could trade one prospect from one major league organization to another, and this is not taking into account compensation, just one guy who you want to see in one organization different than his current one for one reason or another, who would it be and where is he going?
Yeah, so I came up with two of them. One I think is kind of funny. The first one is more serious, so I'll get straight to that. When I kind of posed the question to you, Tyler, sending it to you earlier today, I wanted to think of, just the systems that could really, really use a boost in terms of, they don't have that many top 100 guys, just top talent in general. Who immediately came to mind was the Los Angeles Angels, obviously wrecked by the trade of Sean Newcomb, Chris Ellis to the Braves. Newcomb was their only top 100 guy. Then I started to think, what did the Angels really need at the major league level? One of the big storylines of the offseason is that they've missed out on outfield talent a lot. They really have a big hole there in the left right now, next to Mike Trout and Cole Calhoun. So what the trade I'm going to propose, and again, this isn't, the Angels wouldn't be sending anything back to this other team. This is literally just plucking this guy out of his system, putting him in the Angels just for fun. It was Lewis Brinson. He would be a guy who automatically becomes the top prospect in that system. He's a top 20 guy according to MLB.com. Pretty much any other list you look at. Lots of speed, lots of power. We've talked about him, ad nauseum almost, or given what he did in 2015, jumped 3 levels. I don't think the Angels would exactly start him in the majors necessarily to fill that left field gap, but it would be a very exciting concept for him to start the year at Salt Lake. Angels fans get something to be excited about, something to watch the minor league system for. He would certainly be a Super 2 deadline call-up scenario in that way. And just that outfield of him and left. He's really a center fielder, but him and left next to Trout, and then Calhoun and right, who is a very, very good defensive outfielder in his own right, would be downright scary for Los Angeles. And again, once he gets called up, that system would be devoid of a lot of really top talent again, but at least there would be that thing to cling to. We'd fill a hole. I really like that one. The other one I'm going to throw out there just for laughs almost is Trey Turner back to the San Diego Padres. Just because, again, I wanted to look at the Padres, and they made some good trades this offseason, sending Kimbrel out, getting a lot of top talent, Manuel Margot, Javier Guerra from the Red Sox, but they still don't have anybody higher than, I think Margot is at 46. So Turner, number 11, according to MLB.com, would become that really star of the system for them. And he would also fill a need. I mean, they signed Alexi Ramirez recently to a 1-year deal. He's just a holdover while they figure out their shortstop position. The Padres must be really kicking themselves right now for giving away Turner in the trade that eventually got them Will Myers. But he would just be such an exciting prospect. Again, he's kind of blocked. He's not really blocked. He's in the conversation right now in the Nationals. They brought Stephen Drew in. They have some other options at shortstop. And again, he would be in competition with Alexi Ramirez, but that would just be a lot of fun to send him right back to the Padres, make him go back to the team that originally drafted him.
I have a trio of guys. I'm going to start. A couple of them are pitchers. I'm going to start with number one, who is, I would love to see what Lucas Giolito could do as a member of the Seattle Mariners organization. The Mariners have kind of one of those systems right now that I think is, you don't want to say, it's certainly not devoid of talent, but it's definitely down from where we've seen it in seasons past. But when you look at the major league roster for the Mariners, they're not that far off. And if you had somebody like Lucas Giolito to throw into that rotation that already has Felix Hernandez, already has Taijuan Walker, James Paxton, you're not really sure what you're going to get from him because we've seen flashes of a lot of really, really exciting things from him at times in the past. But if you could put somebody like Lucas Giolito, who's kind of that exciting new chapter, and pair him in a rotation with somebody like Taijuan Walker, who was already that sort of exciting next chapter for the Mariners, and Felix Hernandez, who is one of the best players in all of sports, certainly in all of baseball, I think that would be really fun to watch. That team doesn't really seem like they're that far off from contending. The last couple of seasons we've seen that. They've hung in there until the last few weeks. That seems like it would be a lot of fun to watch somebody like that come up in a system like that and have a chance to make an impact in a race the way we've seen the Mariners hang around the last few years. Very selfishly, My next pick is an easy one. I would love to see Joey Gallo in the Colorado Rockies system just because I want to watch Joey Gallo take batting practice at Coors Field. That's the only reason. I just think that Joey Gallo hitting at altitude would be more entertaining than anything that anyone has ever seen on a baseball field. It's like those guys, remember that traveling group that maybe they still go around at ballparks, but the big burly guys who crush the softballs like 900 feet? That would be Joey Gallo, but like in real life. Which I would love.
Right. It would just be that Futures Game home run hitting contest that he basically put on during BP a couple of years ago.
It would be that every day.
Yeah.
Every single day. And third, finally, and this goes very much along the same lines as your pick, Sam, but I think it would be great to see Brady Aiken come up in the Astros system. There's a whole lot, obviously, that went on behind the scenes there. But Brady Aiken, I mean, we know the way the Astros develop talent. Now that Brady Aiken is healthy, he's came out of last season as the number 4 prospect in the Cleveland Indians system. I would be interested to see how the Astros would develop a guy like that. He won't, obviously. We know it's not going to happen. But if you could pluck him out of the system, place him into another one, he's a very intriguing skill set. And I think it would have been fascinating to see the way the Astros brought him along and developed him. So, yeah, basically just like the controversial moves over the last couple seasons. We just want to see those reversed and see what those guys would look like with the original clubs that they had.
Yeah, I like how we didn't discuss that before.
No, we did not.
We did not trade our ideas on this. Kind of piggybacking on Brady Aiken, I did want to just throw out another non-top 100 guy, just because in picking Gallo and picking Turner and picking Brinson, guys like that, it is easy just like, yeah, we would love to see top talent elsewhere. So just to take somebody outside of the top 100 for me, I'm a sucker for control. I love really, really good control whenever you can find it. So I would like to send Joe Musgrove in the Astros system. You put in Brady Aiken, I'm going to take out Joe Musgrove from the Astros. Guy had 8 walks in 102 innings. Finally found some comfort of health this year. Played 3 levels, finished out at Double-A Corpus Christi where he had a 2.20 ERA in 45 innings in that Astros system. And I'd like to send him to the Marlins just because I feel like the Marlins really lack that guy behind Jose Fernandez, that pitching prospect who the fans can really sink their teeth into, get really excited about. Musgrove is not a top 100 guy right now. I don't know if they would necessarily go bonkers for a guy like that, but just his numbers were just so eye-popping last year. Seeing him into that Marlins system that I think could use somebody outside Tyler Kolek, who is obviously a few rungs down, still has many, many problems of his own. I think Musgrove would be a very, very interesting addition to that Marlins system.
Strike number 2, Sam. It is there is a thing for every day now. Every day of the week is a thing. There was I think it was National Squirrel Day a couple of weeks ago, and whatever. Today, the day on which we were recording this, which is Tuesday the 9th, it is National Pancake Day, and so we figured. Oh, we got to talk about Joey Pancake then, who was in the Detroit Tiger system last year with the West Michigan Whitecaps in the Class A Midwest League. Joey Pancake, 2016. Sam, your thoughts?
Well, first, do you know why it's Pancake Day?
I do not.
Okay, I did not know this either until I went on vacation last year for Pancake Day in the United Kingdom. Apparently, Pancake Day is their version of Fat Tuesday.
No way!
Yeah, because the idea of Pancake Day for
Oh, so it's not like a breakfast pancake. It's like one of the Mardi Gras pancakes.
It's a crepe, yeah. Basically. So
okay.
We all went out for pancakes, and I got there, and there were these slivers of carbs, and I was like, "What is this? Where's the fat and the syrup and all that?" So
we're Americans. I demand my arteries being clogged.
Right, exactly. I actually ordered a thing that was called the New Yorker because it had bacon. So there you go. But Pancake Day is when you take everything in the cupboard and you just put it all into this one dish, and it's pancakes. So you can put anything with pancakes. But back to your question about Joey Pancake. It is just a fun topic to discuss. We do wish him the best, if nothing else, just to see the name Pancake on a Tigers uniform someday. He played 126 games last year at Class A West Michigan. It doesn't put together anything that really, really stands out. Solid player, 268, 342, 366 slash line, 5 homers, 9 stolen bases, some okay pop, not great. Played second base after splitting the previous season at shortstop and third, so he has a little bit of versatility there. Was not particularly great at either shortstop or third base in 2014, so thus the move to second. He was much better. Had a .964 fielding percentage actually there last year at the Keystone at West Michigan. He's going to be headed probably this year to the Florida State League, where we know offensive numbers get deflated even more. So his 707 OPS, that's kind of maybe even the ceiling that we're looking at for next year. A lot to improve on. The Tigers would probably like to see him add a little bit more pop, a few more extra base hits, a few more stolen bases. But it's not outside the realm of possibility that Joey Pancake is a future, maybe utility player at the major league level.
Pankake, by the way, for Joey Pancake.
Which is a more fun way of spelling it.
Yeah, it totally is. Joey Pancake, by the way, was a 2014 SEC All-Defensive Team honoree. He went to the University of South Carolina, a very good collegiate player there. 7th-round pick of the Detroit Tigers in the 2014 Major League Baseball first-year player draft. Congratulations on your big day today, Joey Pancake. I hope it's a good one. Strike 3 for this week, Sam, in the 45th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Today is also New Hampshire primary day, and not the baseball team, but like the actual one. We've discussed from time to time. Talked about it a little bit with Todd Radom. The New Hampshire primaries, that was the original name for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, now the AA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. When that name was announced, fans did not receive it well initially, which is really a shame because it was one of the greatest names and logos and identities that's ever been conjured up for a minor league baseball team. But all that aside, let's discuss this. There's like 1,000 people still running for president somehow. If you could pick a minor league prospect based on guys you've talked to, interviews we've had on the show, whatever the criteria is, who would make the best politician? Now, I want to quantify this by saying, in this respect, we mean politician in a positive way. So basically not 2016 politicians. We mean like who's a good statesman? Who would be a good Abraham Lincoln, a good Teddy Roosevelt, a good Woodrow Wilson? Who are the people you would pick to be the guys on the front lines if they're campaigning for president of minor league baseball's stars for 2016 and beyond?
Who could best shake the hands and kiss the baby?
Exactly. Handshaking, right. Baby kissing.
Yeah. Politics completely aside, because everybody has their opinions on that. This is just personality driven entirely. The first one that came to mind was Lucas Giolito, just because he does have that background. I mean, you can go back through our archives for the Show Before the Show. Gave a great interview a couple months ago. Very well spoken. Comes from a line of actors, so he knows what he's doing measured. In front of a camera.
Yeah, it doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low.
Right. Yeah. Has that great media training. I'm going to throw in another name, Archie Bradley. Again, another great interview that we have. A couple of years ago, I remember he was trying to raise money for victims of a tornado in his native Oklahoma, was getting athletes from all over the Oklahoma, state area, getting athletes baseball players within the D-bag system, just sign things and send it to him. He reached out to us asking for help. I think we did a blog post on it. This was a guy who saw that there was a problem and wanted to actively try and do some good and do some help in an area that meant a lot to him, and I think that's what all politicians should be, regardless of what direction they're coming from. So in Giolito, I think you have somebody who's good in front of a camera, somebody who could probably hold his own in a debate in some way, would at least know when to come out when they say his name. And in Archie Bradley, you have somebody who is actively trying to help his community, and I think that's what we're all looking for in politicians, regardless of our politics, as it were.
I like those two. I certainly would have thought Lucas Giolito as well. He comes across as one of those guys who I would trust Lucas Giolito watching my kids. I think he'd be good to have his finger on the button at midnight or whatever the commercial says. Somebody else who I think would be a very good politician, because of the enthusiasm he embodies 24 hours a day, if you follow his Twitter feed, is Jose Barrios.
Oh, I was thinking of him too.
If I wanted somebody to lobby for me, it's Jose Barrios. He's infectious. He's excited about everything. He knows what he wants. Positive guy. I go Jose Barrios.
He's very dedicated too. He's always going to show you the work he's doing. And again, this is in 2016, so social media is a big part of it. And
that is
Jose
true.
Barrios knows what he's doing in terms of social media.
That is very true. Okay, I feel like we have a good administration.
I would definitely get behind that. Okay. It's interesting, though, that they're all pitchers. Do you think there's any?
Yeah, maybe there's something to that.
I mean, pitcher might be the most I don't want to say egocentric, but just eccentric.
Cerebral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones on the mound. They're the ones with the balls in their hand. They decide where that ball is going to go. Especially starting pitchers, they're out there for the duration of the game. They usually are the guys who get paid the most. I mean, you see how the David Price contract. These are guys who teams count on a lot. So maybe it's no surprise that we chose 3 pitchers here.
That is true. I will say that if we had this conversation a year ago, I probably would have said Chris Bryant on this list. Not just because dreamy eyes.
I was going to say infectious smile.
Elected. Infectious smile, killer teeth. But again, like a really measured, really level-headed guy. A couple other wild card names who I think would be very fun in this conversation. Brett Phillips, our guy. Love Brett Phillips. He's one of those dudes who I would say, know what? He seems like the nicest guy on earth. I'll probably vote for him. Cody Decker would also be a heck of a wild card if you're going to throw in a minor leaguer to be, made his major league debut last year. But Cody Decker, if I wanted to watch a debate, he's the first guy that I want to put on the stage.
Yeah, I think Cody Decker might be the Bernie Sanders in that he would enter the race and you'd just be like, I like him, but I don't think I would ever vote for him. And then the longer he would be in and the longer you hear him.
All right, maybe this guy's got some points.
Yeah, this specific brand of politics, you might enjoy it, you might not enjoy it, but he feels like a Bernie Sanders to me.
Oh, that is a very entertaining line of conversation. I know I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of the day now, too.
And please write into us, too.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
Somebody that we missed or for any of these topics, really, please write into us. Please tweet us. Please email us, all that fun stuff.
Podcast@MILB.com is the email address. You can also rate, review, and subscribe to the show before the show on iTunes. Find us there. You can find Sam. He's on Twitter @Sam Dykstra, MILB. I'm on Twitter @Tyler Mon. You can find us. Give us your politician recommendations. See, like I'm scrolling through right now, and I'm like, Mark Appel, he'd definitely have a certain amount of, he'd bring some sway. He's got a good contingency with him. I don't know. Christian Arroyo is a really talented young guy coming up. He's the Paul Ryan, maybe. I'm going to think about this the rest of the day now. So that wraps up Strike 3. A couple of news items to get to. We discussed last week former top prospect in the Philadelphia Phillies system, Jesse Biddle, traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a really interesting transaction that went down, Sam, because Jesse Biddle was DFA'd by the Philadelphia Phillies in order to create a spot on their 40-man roster. He had Tommy John surgery in October, so the Phillies were not really concerned that he was going to be claimed off of waivers. They thought they could pass him through, outright him, I would assume, to AAA, and that would be that for his rehab process. Not the case. Traded to the Pirates, stays in the state of Pennsylvania, but man, grew up a Phillies fan in Philadelphia. Now he's on the other side. Now he's a Pirates prospect. This is an interesting move because it was risky when the Phillies did it. They were very confident that it wasn't going to play out this way, and it did. They end up losing Jesse Biddle. Yeah,
well, the interesting thing for me is that the Pirates are one of those organizations that seem to really know what they're doing in terms of Tommy John now.
Yes.
Jameson Taillon obviously underwent the surgery a couple of years ago. Nick Kingham underwent it last year. Those guys have yet to return to the field, so we don't know exactly if the Pirates have done well in terms of their rehab. But the Pirates are not necessarily scared by that term anymore, especially if they're going after Biddle like this. Willing to pick him up, willing to give him a 40-man spot. I'll be interested to see if he makes it through the spring. They didn't trade much for him, just a reliever who I don't think has much of a major league future. It's a very, very small gamble. They could easily just DFA him again, and we start this process all over again in terms of Jesse Biddle. But yeah, it's an interesting pickup as far as the Pirates go. Wish Biddle all the success in the world in terms of getting back quickly and safely, and he's looking at 2017 instead of 2016. But we'll see if he appears on the other side of the state.
And you kind of hope, we talked at length about some of the stuff he's run into, but you hope that maybe a change of scenery does wonders for Jesse Biddle, because a very highly regarded prospect as of a couple of seasons ago, and some bizarre injuries and concussion he suffered in a hailstorm and the elbow problems, and finally culminating in Tommy John this year. So like Sam said, we certainly wish him all the best. And one of our final news items of the week, we actually had 2 champions crowned in the world of baseball over the last week. For the third time in 4 years, a Mexican team won the Caribbean Series, so congratulations to that club. Caribbean Series is one of the most entertaining baseball tournaments anywhere, and if you got to catch any of that this past couple of weeks, a lot of fun watching those teams. Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Cuba This year, Mexico comes out on top. Last year, it was Cuba. The Cuban team only won a game this year. They're very evenly played, very well-fought games. The fans are intense. They're into it. So a big congratulations to Mexico for another title there. And in Australia, that league has wrapped up as well. The Brisbane Bandits are champions of the Australian Baseball League for the first time in their franchise history. Cincinnati Reds minor leaguer Donald Lutz with a 3-run homer on his 27th birthday. As a matter of fact, it's a best-of-3 championship series in Australia. So the Brisbane Bandits, pretty remarkable turnaround for them. Had never made the playoffs through the first 5 years of ABL history. Roared to the playoffs this year, won the league's regular season title. They sit out a week. The ABL sends 3 into the postseason. Top seed gets home field advantage throughout the championship series. The number 2 and number 3 teams play in a qualifier to go to the championship series. So it was Adelaide, which moved on out of that series, and Brisbane, despite the week off, they roll over Adelaide in a 2-game sweep. So congratulations to the Brisbane Bandits for their contributions to Australian baseball history, and a whole lot of minor league talent that has rolled through Brisbane over the last couple of seasons, especially out of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. And Donald Lutz, a Red signee again. He was once a Red, made it up to the big leagues. We actually talked about him last week because he was a German-developed player who made the major leagues a few years ago. Travis Blackley, who was with the Marlins organization last year, AAA New Orleans, he got the win in that game. So congratulations to those guys as well. All it means is that we're basically at spring training time. When the ABL wraps up, when the Caribbean leagues wrap up, that's the next step.
And always when the ABL wraps up, I get enamored by that trophy. You know more about it than I do. But it's
amazing.
Massive. It's basically like the Stanley Cup. You put all the names on there, but this is much smaller and just so much bigger. Right? You know more about it than I do.
Yeah, it's called the Claxton Shield. It's been around in Australian baseball since the 1930s. And if you look, we've got the picture of the Bandits celebrating with a trophy at MILB.com right now. If you look at it, it's sort of 2 concentric circles. The outer one was added, I think, sometime in the 60s or 70s. So it gives you an idea of how old this trophy really is. And the inner one has been around forever. I mean, it's been around since the 30s, and the name of the team that wins it every year is inscribed on that trophy. It is very, very cool, and it is gigantic. It's one of those trophies, like you said, it's like the Stanley Cup. It only goes with the team that's won it. Nobody gets to keep it. Travels to the next team that wins it the following year. But the neat thing about it is the way Australian teams really embrace it when they have it during the season. The Perth Heat won 4 out of the first 5 titles in ABL history since the league was restarted in 2010-2011. But it was cool what the Heat would do because they would take it around to schools. They would take it to community functions. They would have it at baseball camps. They had it every single home game in its own special VIP tent at what was formerly called Barbagallo Ballpark, now is Baseball Park Thornley in Western Australia. So it really is one of those very hallowed sports trophies, and it's pretty cool, especially for the Australian guys. It's really cool for the American guys to get over and do it, but for the Australian guys, that's what you want. You grow up dreaming of that the way Canadian kids dream about the Stanley Cup. It's that iconic, and it's it's pretty cool. You can check it out. Our story up right now at MILB.com. You can also see some videos, theabl.com.au, of the final out, the celebration, highlights and stuff from Game 2, the final game of the ABL Championship Series.
Yeah, so now we all get to bring it stateside. That's what that means.
Absolutely. And World Baseball Classic qualifier starting this week in Sydney as well. First of 4 qualifying rounds this week starting in Sydney is the first one. Also one in Panama, one in Mexico. Those are next month, and one in Brooklyn coming up in September. But this week, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and the Philippines, those 4 teams getting the World Baseball Classic started for 2016 qualifying play ahead of 2017. So we'll talk about that as those groups get rolling as well. So, man, packed first segment today.
In a good way. In a good way for February, I would say.
When we return, one of the top 100 prospects in all of Major League Baseball will join the show. Traded from one organization to another last year. Not something you see generally for a first full-year pro. But Sean Manaea of the Oakland Athletics, and the number 68 prospect in all of baseball, a Texas League champion last season with the Double-A Midland Rockhounds. Sean Manaea joins the show next. Headed into the 2016 season, we're just weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting for major league clubs. Minor league guys will get going very shortly thereafter. We're inside of a month, basically, until camps are at full 100% speed. One of the guys who is already set to go for 2016 is already in Arizona is left-handed pitcher Sean Manaea of the Oakland Athletics organization, number 68 overall prospect for MLB.com going into 2016. Sean, welcome to the show. What's going on?
just chilling, just having a good time out in Arizona, and just getting ready for spring training.
How's this offseason been? This is a different offseason. For those who don't know, Sean, a 2013 draft selection of the Kansas City Royals, traded to the Oakland Athletics last year. So this is, kind of different verse of the same song. I guess you're still in Arizona. You don't have to get acclimated to, go to a Grapefruit League camp or anything like that. So there's some familiar surroundings, but first offseason for you training with the Athletics. You got some time in the Arizona Fall League. How has this offseason been compared to the last couple of offseasons for you in college and coming into pro ball?
It's been a lot different. Last year I was out in Surprise, and the whole off season I was working out, wasn't like throwing or doing anything, and wasn't doing like any baseball activities. And like you said, this past off season I was in the fall league, and it was just really thankful to be in that league and get exposure out there, get to like some great hitters and all that. And I feel like it's really helped me because I didn't really get that many innings during the season, and just trying to keep my arm healthy and doing all that stuff. And it's been a really great learning experience going through all that, and I feel like it's definitely going to help me push myself farther this season and just get ready even faster.
And as Tyler kind of mentioned, you make that move from the Royals to the A's. What kind of has stood out about the A's system so far? What have been the differences you've noticed, or what is it about being an A's prospect that you've noticed that's kind of different for you?
I'd say the organizations are completely different. Like the Royals, there's I feel like it's more structured and kind of like people have to be like certain places at like certain times, everything like that. And, with the A's, it's kind of more not do your own thing. There's still some structure to it and everything like that, but I feel like there's a little more freedom. And to me, I feel like that's helped me a lot, just being like my own person and doing my own thing, like figuring out my own routines and what I need to do to get ready for starts and everything like that. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing I've come away with, even from the Royals to the A's. And it's been a really easy transition for me, and I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, and you mentioned kind of developing your own routines. One of the things you went through last year, you had an abdominal strain, a groin strain, and held back.
Yeah.
That's why you went on to the fall league. How do you personally work on getting healthy this off season and maintaining that health? What kind of program are you on? Regiment do you go through? Kind of explain that a little bit.
I feel like last year I was really, really pushing myself really hard in the weight room, and I felt like I was doing a lot of extra stuff, and sometimes just talking to people strength coaches and other players, it's doing too much can hurt your body. And I feel like I was healthy for the most part through the off season, and there's just some days where I push myself too hard, and I feel like that's kind of what led to my abdominal strain. And this year, I really I don't push myself as hard in the weight room. I don't do all the extra stuff and everything like that. But I still I do all my work and do it to the best of my ability. And I feel like toning it down a little bit, just doing a little extra stuff here and there, and just every single day, for an hour after the workout. I feel like that's helped me a lot. I feel like my body's a lot in better shape than it was last year in the off season.
Sean, the trade goes down. You go from Kansas City, the only organization you've known as a professional, to Oakland middle of last season. And your numbers improved significantly after that trade. You and I talked for an Arizona Fall League notebook at one time in the early stages of the AFL season. One of the things you said in that was something just clicked when you got to the A system. You just felt like you were able to go out, just focus on hitting the glove, throwing strikes, and being aggressive and going after guys. Do you feel like, to a certain extent, maybe there was some pressure with being such a high draft selection, getting a little bit behind with the injuries, that kind of stuff? Did you put pressure on yourself at the beginning of last year with the Royals that you were able to kind of let go of once you got to the A's? The numbers were not at all bad when you were with the Royals. You started out between Wilmington and Northwest Arkansas, an ERA just over 4, so certainly not bad. But you get over to to Double-A Midland in the Texas League, sticking in that same league. You're in the A system, 1.90 ERA. You strike out 51 guys in 42 2/3. Was it kind of a combination of feeling healthy and mentally feeling a little bit more relaxed, or what do you attribute all that success to?
I feel like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. Like getting money, like all that stuff throughout the draft process. Just being injured last year was my first time in big league camp, and like even now, it was putting a lot of pressure on me. Like I felt like I'm like hanging with all the big leaguers, and like I got to impress everybody, and all these things, and all these things were going through my head, and it really stunk when like I hurt myself, and then I put even more pressure on myself. And when I finally got healthy and got out to Warrington, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to like make it up to Double-A or Triple-A or to like the big leagues and all these things. And I wasn't just like relaxing. I wasn't going out there just pitching. I was worrying about results, worrying about where I was going to be next, and all these things. And I felt like that really just hampered my performance, and I wasn't living up to like everything I could be. I wasn't doing the best I could do, and like I got a fresh start with the A's, and I don't know, it was just a different mindset, and I really don't know how to explain it when I got here. It's just something, like I said, it just clicked, and I was a lot more relaxed. I was a lot more just more mindful of things, I guess, and it just really helped me out a lot. I just really don't know how to explain how it happened. It just happened, I guess.
Well, and the good thing about that is you finish on a really, really good note personally during the regular season. Then you guys go off into the postseason. You win the Texas League with Midland, and then you get to go to the AFL and continue that. And we ran into each other in Peoria, and you said to me that you were working on something different. Was it with your changeup or your slider in the AFL?
It was probably my slider because, I think it was like 2 weeks before the Texas League, like the championship series. My pitching coach helped me switch up my slider because I was getting like around it like too early, and it was just being like big, really big and loopy, and he just literally just took the ball and like flipped it like 180 degrees, and it in my mind that it just like clicked. And like I tried it before earlier, like in my career, like when I was in college and stuff like that. And, I just didn't like really have the mindset of how to throw it. He just said something to me. It was just like keep my wrist stiff and all these like different things. And, the first time I threw it, it was like to me it was nasty. I was really, really happy with that, and I just kept trying to improve on that in the fall league.
So how much of an asset is it then to be able to go out and have that time? I mean, I remember the thing that stuck with me most that you said that day was you knew that it was going to be kind of a struggle, but you wanted to deal with that in the AFL because that's the point of the AFL. You get to go out, you try it against really good bats, and even though it might cause you some issues, better to learn it in the AFL than learn it in spring training, learn it during the first month of the minor league season. I mean, how much does that experience getting to go get those extra innings and the numbers, I mean, bear out. You got so much better as the AFL season went on. You had an ERA of 1.31 your final 3 starts. I mean, how much does that help going into 2016, knowing that you tested yourself and you finished so strong against really good competition in a league like that?
It helped out immensely. I mean, a lot of these guys are going to be in the big league in the next couple of years, and I know these guys are some of the best of the best. Just being able to go out there and being able to throw like my slider, even though like at times it wasn't doing what I wanted to. I knew going through struggles there in the fall league was something that I feel like needs to happen because I know it's going to happen if I make it to the big leagues. I know all those guys are like the best hitters in the world, and just being able to like, I guess it's like a stepping stone towards the big leagues. You know, like being able to throw against these guys, knowing that I'm going to be fine if I just keep working on it. I feel like that helped me out a lot, like especially with like my mindset, especially with like the mentality of things. Just know you're going to struggle. Know that if you keep working on it, things will happen for the better. And I feel like being in the fall league just go girls so help me a lot.
And talking about going from struggles to successes, one thing I wanted to ask you about was through your career so far, it's been 2 years, but it seems like so much of what you've done has been, when you are at your highest, has been wrapped around the strikeout. I think you have 236 and 196 career innings so far. So for your career, you're averaging more than the strikeout an inning. How much do you kind of get wrapped up in the strikeouts, and how does that, for you personally, kind of define success for you in punching so many guys out in any start?
I try not to look at those things. I know it happens. I remember last year, I was picked for one of the strikeout games, MILB or something like that. And, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I try not to worry about those things. Me personally, I want to go out and go deeper in the game because I feel like this whole time I haven't really been going deep into games throughout my career, especially in high. I wasn't at the very beginning of my career. I was going 3-4 innings with 4 walks and 8 or 9 strikeouts, and to me that was just the worst because I know I'm putting a lot of pressure on the bullpen to pick up the rest of the innings, and it just ate at me that I wasn't doing my job as a starting pitcher was to go deep in games. And if strikeouts happen and I have a low pitch count, I'm going deeper in games, then that's great. But I try not to worry about the strikeouts. I mean, I'd rather go deep in games and just help out the team as best as I can.
Yeah, well, just to kind of not to harp on this too much, but how do you kind of explain those high strikeout numbers then? Is it something deceptive about your delivery, you think? You mentioned the slider. Scouts seem to really like your fastball as well. How do you end up striking these guys out if that's not entirely your aim?
I guess probably my arm angle, I guess. I guess it's kind of funky from what guys have told me. Just developing better pitches, I guess. My slider, it was big and loopy, and I felt like hitters were able to see it, and I'm trying to make it faster and break later, and maybe not as much break, but I feel like the closer it is to the plate before it breaks is extremely helpful because it looks like a fastball in the hand, and then it just breaks at the last second, and that's just something that's been big for me is just development of pitches because I didn't have a changeup at all as soon as I got into pro ball. I worked really hard, and especially this past spring training, I got to work with Ryan Matson a little bit. He talks to me a lot during games and during warming up and everything like that. And he has a really, really great changeup, and I tried to pick his brain as much as I could and see what kind of pointers he would give me, and it was just good. The good thing about being hurt to me was being able to just throw the changeup every single day without having to worry being in the game and freaking out about it, I guess, about being good and hopefully hitters will swing at it. It was just every day I'd force myself to just throw it, and it wasn't a pressure situation or anything like that. And it's just the development of pitches, I guess is what I can explain about the strikeout. So,
Sean Manaea will head into 2016 as the number 68 overall prospect in all of baseball, according to MLB Pipeline. But, Sean, we cannot let you go without asking you this question. When we get guys on, there are always topics that we want to discuss with them, and I think for so long we've wanted to know this answer, so we're really excited to ask you. Your Twitter handle is one of the best in sports. It is at BabySMGiraffe. And Sam and I had a pretty detailed breakdown of this before the show. He's a big guy, but he's not really built like a giraffe. He's a strong build, not like a lanky, long neck, awkward thing. I love that it's in all caps because I'm a big proponent of typing in all caps. Explain BabySMGiraffe to all of us.
So my first year in pro ball, I think it was in spring training. We do all the PFP drills and all that stuff, and I feel like I'm more coordinated than I am now, but people, I mean, like all the hitters would watch, they're going to the batting cages, all these things, and I would be doing PFPs, and like I'd be tripping over myself and like throwing the ball away and doing all these things. And one of the guys, Brett Eibner, he saw like this show, I guess you could call it, go on, and he was like, you know what? You look like a baby giraffe.
Oh no!
Out there on and I was like, I was like, at first I was kind of like, like that's kind of mean. Like I feel like I'm somewhat coordinated, but I mean, looking back, I'm like, yeah, that definitely fits the description. But at first it was just saying it to me, and then eventually he started saying it to the athletic trainers, and then they started calling me it, and then he started telling the strength coaches that I look like a baby giraffe, and they were like, yeah, that's exactly what he looked like. So it evolved from just one guy to like pretty much the entire Royals organization calling me baby giraffe, and eventually I was like, you know what, I'll accept that. I feel like I can own up to that, and I just owned up to it, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna name my Twitter handle Baby S and Giraffe, and so that's the story of that.
There you go.
I really admire that. If you, at first glance, you were like, well, that's kind of mean, and then you embrace the nickname, I really admire that. That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Turn it on its head.
But, yeah, I don't really know the why it's all in caps, but I guess that's kind of like my personality, kind of like being loud, I guess, and yeah, that's that.
I'm a big proponent of the all caps, and Baby Giraffe is a fantastic nickname. And now we know. Just as a quick follow-up, did you leave that nickname behind with the Royals, or are people calling you that with the A's?
Nobody's called me in the A's, but I feel like they see me like do PFPs or something like that. The name might come back. So
yeah, spring training is very
So yeah, over the next few weeks, it could very much be back in play. Okay. Yeah. And now that you've explained it fully on a podcast, we've ruined it for you, leaving it behind with the Royals.
It'll be all over the place.
Sean Manaea of the Oakland Athletics, left-hander, headed into 2016, feeling healthy, feeling good, coming off a great 2015 end of the season, the Texas League and the AFL. Sean, always one of our favorite guys to talk to. Thanks a ton for the time, and best of luck this spring.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much.
All right, so we're doing the Ben's Biz segment a little differently this week. It's just going to be me and Ben by ourselves in New York. So welcome in, Ben. How are you? How's it going?
Hey, Sam. Good to be here. It's a little disconcerting not to be talking to Tyler as well right now, hearing his enthusiastic voice boom all the way towards us from the remote mountains of Colorado.
Yeah, well, we can pretend it's there. He's off celebrating Denver Broncos Super Bowl. At the parade right now, enjoying the time with Peyton Manning while he's still there, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I kind of want to get into, or at least start with this story you kind of wrote this week for Minoring in Business. Kind of a former player going into working and helping find missing kids. What can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, this is a story that appeared on the website, MILB.com, last Friday. And I've been writing about minor league baseball for a long time, and I don't like to, repeat my stories. But I did write about this individual and this organization in 2009. His name is Dennis Bear, and former minor league pitcher in the Cubs organization. And he started an organization called Bear Find, which is dedicated to finding missing children by putting signs on the concourses of what he hopes will be all 159 minor league stadiums. He operates on the belief that the more eyes on a picture of a missing kid, the better the chance of finding the kid. And even if the way he put it is looking for a kid is like looking for a needle in the haystack. So even if the person who looks at the sign doesn't recognize the kid, that's one more piece of hay off the haystack. You're getting closer to the needle. So he is literally dedicated to his life, his post-baseball life, to finding missing children and using minor league baseball as the vehicle in which to do it. I wrote about him in 2009 when he was more focused on doing team photo giveaways, placing a missing kid's picture on team photo giveaways. But through the years, it's evolved to saying, we need signs on the concourse because we don't need to make this a one day of the year kind of thing. We need to make it an all day, everyday thing, hopefully industry wide. He's been done it on a case-by-case basis for years, and now he's gotten several leagues on board. So it's in the South Atlantic League, in the New York Penn League, in the Southern League. But he ultimately wants this to be entirely through minor league baseball, all 159 ballparks, and just a kind of interesting life story to be a minor league baseball prospect, get injured, not know what to do with your life, and then devote it to finding missing children, even though Dennis Bear himself was never had that experience, never knew anyone personally who had a child gone missing, but he just felt that calling, and Bear Find is the result. And it's not Bear as in the animal bear. It's his last name, Bair. Dennis Bear, and the organization's Bear Find. And I enjoy talking to Dennis and learning about what he's doing, and I think it's something that deserves a lot of recognition.
Yeah, so when fans go to these parks that do have these, again, hopefully it's in every minor league park soon. I mean, it's not anything that's intrusive, but where can they kind of find it, and what exactly should they be looking for? Yeah,
I think it's the kind of thing you don't have to search it out. Ideally, it would be right on the concourse. Most teams have 360-degree concourse, or at the very least, the concourse is very prominent in terms of moving about. If you're just walking from the restroom to the concession stand or whatever, this sign would be in a prominent place in the ballpark, so you don't have to seek it out. You're just going to see it as you go about having your time at a minor league ballpark. And each ballpark, he works with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who can give him regionally appropriate missing kids for each individual ballpark. So in each stadium, it is a child who has a better chance of being found in that particular area. And if the child is found, then a found decal goes on over the picture, and they'll work toward getting a new picture of a missing kid and just repeat the process, and hope just to do their bit to find missing children.
Has there been any success stories yet in terms of this in ballparks? I mean, again, all you're looking is for eyeballs. You don't need it to be a certain success rate per se, but has there been any point where they said, yes, I saw this one picture of a kid in this stadium, and I saw him in the grocery store the next week, something like that?
Right, and I was interested in that, because Dennis Bear and Bear Find, they give the fact that right now they feature 278 missing children at minor league ballparks, and 65 of them have been found.
Oh.
And so when I talked to Dennis, I said, of those 65 that have been found, how do you know if any of them were 100% because someone saw that picture at the minor league park? And he told me, this is a direct quote, "We do not know that because of privacy laws. On each profile we have the hotline number for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Those calls come in confidentially, so we never have access to that info. So we go by the obvious. The more eyes are looking, the greater the chance that someone recognizes the kid and makes an anonymous tip." So they're going on faith and again on the principle that the tried and true method for finding kids is to have as many eyeballs on pictures of the kids as possible, get it out there to the most amount of people, and he sees minor league baseball as the, quote, ideal vehicle to do that.
And for anybody listening to this, not necessarily near a computer, not reading the story while you're listening to this, again, it's Bear Find, Bair, Find, all one word, capital B, capital F. You can go to Ben's story on our site about it. He has links to the homepage. Read more about what Dennis Bear is doing on that. Kind of to switch gears almost completely, one thing that kind of caught my eye, as I saw you tweeted about it earlier, California League is releasing a 75th anniversary logo for the whole league, but they've made it team-centric. What exactly are they kind of looking to do here with that?
Well, I think this is a good idea, and I can't say it's unprecedented, but I, at the same time, couldn't remember seeing it before. Teams often release anniversary logos, not so often as leagues. And the thing with the league logo, anniversary or otherwise, is you kind of think, well, who's really going to see these league logos? And the California League, to really get their new anniversary logo out there, they're turning 75. It's the Diamond Anniversary. They've worked with Brandiose to create this commemorative anniversary logo, and in the process of doing that, created a team-specific logo for every single team. So there is a California League 75th anniversary logo with each individual team having their own separate, distinct version of the anniversary logo, which of course encourages the team to get that out there, and it's specific to them. So I think that's a really good thought, to instead of just have a league logo, that kind of how do you incorporate that, incorporate each individual team into it so the team has something unique to themselves that they can then use in their branding throughout the year to highlight their connection with the league and get out the fact that the Cal League is 75 years old, which is pretty old.
Yeah, definitely. And not to get in too much into the nuts and bolts of it, but I know Brandiose is one of those brands that, constantly minor league teams, now leagues, turn to make these new logos. What kind of Brandiose touches do you see in this one?
I don't see anything overtly jumping out at me when you think of Brandiose. You think of them having a hand often in the encouraging clubs to go in a real irreverent direction, the Chihuahuas and Blue Wahoos of the world and that sort of thing. You also think of, a lot of anthropomorphism. Usually you have an alternate logo with someone carrying a bat and or a bindle stick. So I don't see the kind of more overtly zany Brandiose touches here. I think when you're going with the league's logo, you're not going to go nuts. This is something that's been established since 1941. But it has, I just think, a pretty clean and coherent feel for the amount of information they're trying to get in there, which is a literal diamond, the number 75, the name of the league, palm trees around the league to, I guess, signify California, and then each one having an individual logo within the diamond. So I think their focus was more on how do we incorporate this much information into such a small amount of space.
Yeah, and for anybody, again, who wants to see this, go on to the California League site. That all the logos are there. One really interesting one for me is just the Lake Elsinore Storm one. The diamond has just those two beady eyes that we always associate with the Lake Elsinore Storm. Gives the diamond itself a little bit of a cool look. Makes it look like the diamond's looking right at you. Perhaps that's a little bit appropriate. Lake Elsinore is doing, I think, the All-Star game this year against the Carolina League, June 21st. So kind of cool that they get the coolest logo in this kind of brand set. What else do you have coming up the rest of this week on the blog? I know you're still going through some of your trips. Richmond was one of them.
Yeah, lots of stuff always coming on the blog. Reliving some of the road trips with my non-ballpark wanderings. That'll be continuing as long as I have the chance to do it. My last post was about visiting Richmond Flying Squirrels and having a little time to poke around the used books and record stores, as I am wont to do. So got a few more of those return to the road type posts, and lots of Bula-based posts of just all sorts of minor league odds and ends. And we're starting to see a lot of promo schedules being released right now, so I'm diligently compiling them and trying to tweet out the best ones, and I'll have some of that on the blog as well. The minor league baseball train, it never stops a-rolling.
Yeah, any you can give us a taste of right now? I know we were talking about the Manatee bobblehead before. That's in Bradenton and not Brevard County for different reasons than just name alone.
Right. The Florida State League has a team called the Brevard County Manatees, but the Brevard County Manatees are not the team that is giving away a manatee bobblehead this year. That would be the Bradenton Marauders, who are giving away a bobblehead of Snooty the Manatee, because Snooty lives in the Bradenton area. He calls a local museum home, and the Marauders are giving away a Snooty Manatee bobblehead on July 23rd, which is Snooty's 68th birthday, and he's recognized as the world's oldest manatee. So July 23rd, make sure you say happy birthday to Snooty the Manatee, born in 1948, still going strong, and now finally he's got it made. He's got his own bobblehead, not from the Brevard County Manatees, but from the Bradenton Marauders.
There you go. All right, so you can check out all of that on Ben's blog, which is bensbiz.mlblogs.com. You can check out Ben on Twitter @bensbiz, spelled exactly how you think it is. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. We'll be back next week with Tyler calling in from Denver, just like the old times.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Good talking to you. And Tyler, I miss you, buddy. Stay strong.
Sean Manaea is on Twitter @BabySMGiraffe, as you heard, and Benjamin Hill is @BensBiz. A big thanks to those guys for joining us on the show, and we're going to wrap up this week's edition of the Show Before the Show podcast. And this is, again, like the last couple of weeks before we start getting to talk about actual game action, actual camp action, all that kind of stuff. College baseball returns this week. There are college baseball games on television today, I think, so that's awesome. It's baseball season.
Yeah, much sunnier climes than either of the places we're at.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently you got a tan or burn yesterday.
I did.
So.
I got a little sunburn at the old Broncos Super Bowl parade, so,
I don't know if I'm envious of that or not.
I like it in February, because then I'm like, oh man, springtime coming so soon. If it was July, I would just be complaining nonstop. Yeah. That's what I do. I just
so literally
complain about
soak it
the
up
norm.
as long as you can get it.
Yeah. And then once it actually turns into, a regular thing, then I will be annoyed with it. But a big thanks to Ben Hill for tuning in this week. Again, the top 100 prospects are out from MLB Pipeline. The top 30 prospects in each organization will be coming out later on in the month, so be on the lookout for those. We'll be talking about those as those come out as well. And big thanks for tuning in to the 45th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. You can get in touch with us. We are on Twitter. Sam is at Sam Dykstra, MILB. I am at Tyler Mon. And as always, you can rate, review, and subscribe to the Show Before the Show on iTunes. You can find us at MILB.com/podcast as well. If you need an RSS feed, depending on the way you access your podcasts, head over there and find all the information on how to find us there and be able to, distract yourself for an hour at a nice day of work. Not that we advocate for that. But that's going to do it for us. And until next week, we'll talk to some prospects and we'll continue to break down the lead up to camp with more major league invitations for spring training for prospects arriving this week and into next week. Exciting news as always for that. So until next week, enjoy the last couple of days of only basketball and hockey. We'll talk to you then.